Cari amici, salve a tutti. Oggi un'altra giornata con Tele 30, con voi il dottor Kakes, il presidente della Tele 30. Oggi veramente andiamo a vedere una cosa, a parlare con gente, insomma, della nostra comunità ad Ottawa. Vogliamo sempre, ogni anno facciamo questa seduta con delle belle donne che parlano della Italian Week, la settimana italiana ad Ottawa. È una settimana molto pronta, molto bella. Sapete che quando si parla della settimana italiana a Preston vuol dire l'Italia tutta qui, perché lì è piccola Italia in quella strada. Quando si parla di questo, voi vedete quanta gente, quanti italiani, e abruzzesi, pugliesi, insomma, da tutta l'Italia si trovano lì, insomma. È una cosa molto bella. E questa oggi, la nostra serata, con la signora Nina che ci parla oggi di quello che stanno andando a fare quest'anno, ma prima di tutto voglio che voi tutti state con noi a sentire la nostra Nina di cosa si sta parlando oggi. Eccoci qua di nuovo, cari amici, cari telespettatori. Come ho annunciato prima, oggi abbiamo la signora Nina con noi. Adesso non voglio parlare io, voglio lasciare il microfono a Nina di parlare di se stessa. Chi è questa Nina? L'anno scorso non era con noi, erano altre belle donne, ma oggi lasciamo il microfono a te Nina. Parlami del tuo stesso prima, poi parliamo della settimana italiana.
Ok, va bene. Allora, grazie, mi fa piacere di essere qui. My name is Nina. I am originally from Edmonton, Alberta, actually. I moved to Ottawa 2 years ago. I grew up in the Italian community in Edmonton. You mentioned several different communities throughout Ottawa's Italian community, but I think you forgot to mention Calabrese. So here I am to represent, I guess, the Calabrese here in Ottawa. No,
abbiamo anche Calabria Mia, il programma tu c'è in radio, sì. Lo fa il signor Gino Marino, che è un programma insomma da anni che lo fa. Calabria Mia, un bel programma che abbiamo.
Esatto,
certo.
Sì. Allora, mia nonna è di Calabria, and I grew up in Edmonton's Italian community. Most of Edmonton's Italian community, I would say, from my experience, was Calabrese. And then, of course, I come here and I find, wow, there's a lot of Abruzzese here, there's a lot of Calabrese here, but I still feel very...
Casa Abruzzo.
Oh, yeah, one of our favorite places to go.
Abbiamo mangiato il coniglio la settimana scorsa a Casa Abruzzo.
I'm so sad I missed that, but yeah, can't recommend Casa Abruzzo enough. So yeah, I grew up in Edmonton's Italian community. I was very involved there. I was involved in the church there. I went to Italian school on Saturdays. We had our own festival there called...
Parli il dialetto con la nonna o no?
No, lo capisco, no. Però non lo parlo.
No, non lo capisci?
Sì, dico qualche frase tipo carito, ma... Also in Calabria too, people forget, it's different. You know, where my grandmother's from, it's like Cosentino, and then the family that my uncle married into from Calabria also, their Calabrese is more close to like Siciliano, so people
forget. Intanto che si parla di Calabria, qual è il tuo piatto preferito calabrese?
Oh man, anything spicy.
Che
Nduja, anything spicy, soprassata calabrese, anything my nonna makes, I can't choose. It's like...
Lo sai fare o solo mangiare?
Purtroppo no.
Solo mangiare.
Solo mangiare. Sì. Sì, niente, allora...
Sei sposata di un italiano o...
Yeah, my husband's actually also Italian, but not Italo-Canadese, Italian from Italy, actually. So when I was involved in the Italian festival in Edmonton, he happened to be there. I'm looking over here because he's actually behind the scenes, behind the camera, for folks who are watching at home. I'm not on television that often. But anyway, I met him at the festival in Edmonton. I was on the board there. He was a volunteer. Folks who know me and are watching this are probably laughing because I say this story so many times. But it truly
He's
was.
Calabrese?
He's not Calabrese, no.
Oh.
I think that's a good thing. I'd be worried if he was a cousin or a relative. But,
Due testature poi.
sì, anche quello. Ma, no, he's still from southern Italy, though. His origins are from Salerno. But his story is actually kind of interesting. So I feel like my experience is that I have like my grandmother and my relatives who immigrated after the Second World War. I would say his family, however, if I'm not misspeaking, there's like also a group of Italians who immigrated from the south to the north, also because of the hard economic hardships. And so that's more of his experience. So when he was 4 years old, his family moved to northern Italy in a little small city just outside of Bologna. So, you know, he has the southern Italian culture and experience, but his accent is actually more like of northern.
Yeah,
it's more of his region. So that's I think it's a very interesting thing. It's almost like I get to learn about different cultures, even though he's also from Italy. So all that to say, the Italian community brought us together. It was because of my involvement that brought us together. I'm not going to get into the details of my entire autobiography, but somewhere along the lines, I moved to Ottawa for work. This was 2 years ago. I wanted to be involved in the Italian community again. So immediately, a few weeks after we settled in Ottawa, this was May 2022, we found the Italian Week Ottawa Festival, and him and I both joined as volunteers.
Ok.
Yeah.
Parlami dell'Italian Week che avete fatto lì, nell'altra provincia, non in Ottawa. Quando eri lì a
Edmonton.
A Edmonton.
Ok.
Yeah. Come erano lì i festival? Tanta gente che viene lì, sono tanti italiani come comunità?
Sì, allora dico prima che secondo me la comunità Edmonton è più piccolo.
Più piccolo.
Più piccolo. And like I said before, mostly Calabrese. But still, it's not about, like we always say in English, it's not about quantity, it's about quality.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would say I want to speak well and do right by them and say that they're might be smaller. They're not like the community you see in Toronto or Montreal, same as here. But you know, they have a lot of heart. A lot of pride, a lot of passion.
Facevano la musica italiana, cucina italiana nelle strade ad Edmonton? Facevano quello?
Sì. I think the only difference is that it's, you know, here in Ottawa, because of, I guess maybe the way things have always been traditionally, the way things are organized, the type of community dynamic we have, it's always been a longer festival. It's always been like a week and change, I would say. Edmonton, however, at least for as long as I was involved there, it was only a one-day festival. But again, I'm just stating facts. I'm not
only
saying
one-day festival.
Only a one-day festival.
Not 1 week.
But you know, I might not be speaking well, because if any folks from Edmonton are watching this, there are some people who were involved back in the day before I was born, and I'm sure there was stuff that was going on beyond that as well. It used to be called, for any nerds out there who know this, it used to be called Giovanni Caboto Days, because Edmonton's Little Italy is just beside Giovanni Caboto Park. So it used to be called that, and then it turned into the Viva Italia, Viva Edmonton Festival, which is when I was involved. And now I believe they're calling it Festa Italiana. So I'm living here in Ottawa. I'm not as involved as I used to be.
Yeah,
so
no.
I'm cheering them on from the other side of the country now.
No, parliamo di questo per vedere la differenza, come le cose che si fanno lì, magari impariamo a fare qualcosa da loro, loro parlano da noi, cosa facciamo, così si aumentano le cose, insomma, col tempo. Per esempio, i libanesi fanno un festival alla chiesa ortodossa qua, vengono migliaia di persone a questo festival. C'è la cucina libanese, insomma una cosa meravigliosa veramente. E la stessa cosa adesso quando si fa la settimana italiana a Preston, vedi migliaia di persone, ma non solo italiani, di tutte le nazioni vengono, tutta la gente, perché questi festival si fanno per tutti i cittadini della città, non solo per gli italiani o per i libanesi, eccetera, capito? Allora, andiamo a parlare del festival che abbiamo fra pochi giorni.
No, actually, I'm glad you mentioned that point, because I definitely want to say that I think for these sorts of festivals, especially for the Italian Canadian community and all, like everything that promotes Italian heritage and culture, especially here in Ottawa, not just for Italians, but people who want to be Italian at heart, everybody who has a love and a passion for this culture. And so exactly, that's it. It's something that I think for Italian Week Ottawa, it's for everybody. There's something for everybody here. It's open for all ages. And of course, like in our conversations, we're going to talk more about that. So, Italian Week Ottawa. We have 11 days of so many different activities planned for this year. It's going from June the 6th until June the 16th. That's not including the flag raising ceremony that we have on June the 5th that kicks everything off and is like, I guess, like the big opening ceremony.
Noi come Tele 30 andiamo anche a vedere alzare la bandiera, insomma. Sì, andiamo a fare quello con Giovanna anche, che è il nostro producer che viene con noi a fotografare la cerimonia.
Ok, ottimo.
Allora, questo è il primo giorno. Poi, a proposito, anche l'ambasciata ha fatto una cosa del genere, ogni anno lo fanno, invitano insomma dei personaggi politici per questa festa insomma italiana.
Sì, sì. Yeah, this is for the flag raising ceremony for sure. And then carrying forth from that, we actually have quite a different types of events for folks to participate in, from our master classes to a lot of our free events to, of course, the big grand finale weekend we have at the end. And I think perhaps what I'll start with, I know usually folks say we should save the best for last, but I think I'm going to jump right to perhaps one of the biggest events that will be happening this week, and that's of course our exclusive reception with none other than celebrity chef David Rocco. Affectionately, I personally like to say that David Rocco is basically the Italian-Canadian Anthony Bourdain. I can't even believe that I'm saying these words to you. I can't believe that we actually have him here with us this year for the festival. I'm super excited that folks who want to attend this event will actually have the opportunity to meet him. It'll be a very...
Dove la gente può vederlo? Dove la gente può incontrare queste persone?
Yes, so David Rocco, that event particular will be happening on June the 13th at Sala San Marco, in addition to a lot of the other events, which I'll speak to a little bit later.
Tutti sapete dove è Sala San Marco e se volete vedere questo personaggio, certamente potete venire a Sala San Marco il 13.
Sì, il 13. And it'll be an evening exclusive aperitivo reception with David Rocco. So it'll start out with a little bit of a meet and greet, a little bit of Q&A to get to know David Rocco a bit more. There'll be several different tasting sections throughout the venue at Sala San Marco. And of course, he'll be around and he'll be mingling with everybody. So it'll be like you get to socialize with David Rocco. And
qualsiasi persona può venire lì. Ci sono I biglietti? Ci sono I biglietti?
Devi andare sul sito web italianweekottawa.ca per prenotare, mi raccomando.
Se uno non ha fatto prima, può comprare lì il biglietto a porta? Quando arriva lì, o deve sempre prenotare prima?
Devi sempre prenotare prima, secondo me.
Perché c'è gente che viene così per caso, vedi che oggi c'è la settimana italiana, vado a vedere, poi dicono, oh, c'è qua Rocco, posso andare o non posso, capito?
Sì, no, meglio di prenotare prima.
C'è un numero limitato?
Yeah, it'll be limited, so that's why I'm saying you know, this is a very exclusive event, very exciting, so you want to be sure you book your tickets well in advance. And if you have any questions, of course, there's chair@italianweekottawa.ca if you want to send an email there, if you have any questions, if there's any issues, of course, with technical difficulties or anything like that. But of course, it'll be a wonderful event. It's we're very grateful for our sponsors for that event, Etel Foods, also Epoca Spirits, who will also be doing some different samplings of, I guess, like, well, there's so many different things I don't even know what to talk about with this particular event.
Perché la gente vuole vedere cosa si mangia.
Sì.
Quando si parla di una cosa italiana, allora vuol dire che si mangia bene. Quello che la gente vuole sapere, cosa si mangia.
Infatti, yeah. So there'll be several different food tasting sections for different types of aperitivo. I won't highlight all of them, but a few that I definitely remember. There's going to be a big cheese wheel and risotto. I think that alone is a big seller, aside from David Rocco. There'll also be like a pizzetta section as well. There's going to be wine tasting. Like I said before, Epoca Spirits will be there to have cocktails as well. Certainly it's an event that I don't think folks should miss. Sounds like it's going to be incredibly exciting. And like I said before, you get to meet David Rocco, who's a celebrity chef, a pillar in the Italian-Canadian community. Anybody who has a nonna probably grew up watching David Rocco on...
sanno chi è.
Yeah, exactly.
Bene. E questo, questo è il 13, si parla del 13. Ok.
Yeah.
Cosa c'hai dopo questo?
Andiamo indietro. I'm going to start a little bit from... I wanted to talk about that one because that's the most important
molto
one.
Importante. Di musica, c'è qualcosa per quanto riguarda la musica?
Yeah. So well, actually, if it's all right, I'll start a little bit with our master classes first. Because just now, before I confuse everybody, I'll start a little bit from the beginning. So we definitely have a great selection of different master classes for folks to sign up for. These are done in partnership with the Embassy of Italy, so we're very grateful for the partnership and the collaboration they helped us with there. So starting out on June the 7th, we have a wine master class. We have an expert sommelier coming in. His name is Tristan Bergalia Murdoch. He's a very well-known name in the industry. We've done wine master classes in the past with Italian Week Ottawa, but this one's going to be different because Tristan's going to be sampling wines that most folks have probably never heard of before. So at the very least, you're going to leave that master class leaving with some bragging rights probably and some new information to show off the next time you have a dinner party at your house, who knows. You'll probably learn a lot of things. He'll be bringing to the table, pun not intended, also just some information about sustainable winemaking. Certainly it's going to be something unlike any other usual wine master class or wine tasting that folks have ever participated in before, and we're really excited to have him on board
Che
for
tipo
this.
di vino ti piace?
Allora, per me, perché il mio marito è di Emilia Romagna, per me è Sangiovese.
Sangiovese, buono.
Yeah.
È buono, sì.
Ottimo scelta. So yeah, that's one of the master classes. And then the next week we'll have a pasta making master class with Chef Daniela Crocco. That one is very limited right now, so certainly, and probably by the time you're hearing this, I don't know how many seats are available, but definitely get on that if folks want to register for that.
Anche bisogna registrare per quello.
Sì. And the last not least, we have an espresso making and coffee master class. So that one will be really exciting. We have Pietro Comino from Francesco's Coffee Company, which is a well-known business.
Tutta la settimana o un giorno per il caffè?
Solo un giorno.
Un giorno solo.
Yeah.
Il 13 anche quello o no?
No. So that just to reiterate, the wine master class will be on June the 7th.
7th.
Yes.
Okay.
And the pasta making master class will be on June the 11th. That's the next week after.
Yeah.
And on June the 12th will be the espresso making.
Oh.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. So those are all the master classes that we have. And then some of the free events that we'll be having, just again, sorry for confusing folks and going back a little bit more. But we're really happy to have a free tour on the Free Thursdays at the National Art Gallery. So for folks who might be familiar with the National Art Gallery here in Ottawa, there's a lot of different art pieces that are a part of the Italian collection. So we'll have some expert guides there who will be guiding folks through the exhibit. Again, it's a free event to participate in, part of Free Thursdays. Tours should take about 30 minutes. So any folks who appreciate art in any capacity will probably would really enjoy something like that. And that's on June the 7th. And then bringing us to that first weekend, we have walking tours on both Saturday, June the 8th and Saturday, June the 9th. Those will be actually hosted by yours truly. I've been working a bit talking to folks in the community, doing some research and various other ways to put together a walking tour. It'll be 2 hours long. It's completely free. I've basically just going to be highlighting a lot of different aspects, some hidden gems, things that folks wouldn't otherwise know, going into the history about the settlement in that area, and also kind of talking to what that area is like now, but also where Ottawa's Italian community is now, because I think something that's very interesting about especially, well, actually the question kind of went back to when I first came here and I was learning about how to get involved in the Italian community here. The first thing I realized is that there are 2 Italian churches in Ottawa. Yeah. And there's actually a very interesting reason as to why, and I'm sure you already know, and I'm sure a lot of folks watching already know, but of course, this event is open to everybody, not just Italians, but those who are interested. And so happy to sort of dive into that history, talking about the settlement of folks who came, you know, before the First World War, after the First World War, between the Second World War, and after. There's definitely a lot of very interesting pieces to highlight there. Also going on that weekend, June the 9th, of course, we can't forget to mention that St. Anthony's Parish will be celebrating their feast day that day. So at 10:30 they have their outdoor mass, followed by the procession. And
then
like
after they go...
Yeah, after that
escono fuori dove c'è la piazzetta e lo fanno tutti gli anni.
Sì, certo. And like I said, that's a Sunday. So like I mentioned, the walking tour is happening on the Saturday, June the 8th, and also June the 9th. So if you are feeling very ambitious on June the 9th, you could go to this mass, participate in the procession, and then the walking tour, really get your steps in that day. And there's also going to be a children's event happening that Sunday as well, also that afternoon. It's being facilitated by the Italian school here in Ottawa, so that's the Centro Giovanile Formativo Italo-Canadese, also colloquially known as the Italian school. I personally go there on Saturdays, taking the adult classes, but of course the teachers there who have classes for children, they're very good at facilitating different activities and teaching Italian culture and history in a very fun and interactive way. So that particular...
Ci sono posti per I bambini per passare bel tempo, insomma anche.
Sì, they're doing, as far as I know, they're doing some sort of art interactive thing. They're going to be teaching, it's going to be an interactive art activity that will teach the kids about ancient Rome. And I'll leave it at that. If you're curious, you can, if you have a little one and you're curious, you can register yourself and come on down.
È importante perché la gente va con I bambini, insomma, I bambini, se non c'è qualcosa che piace a loro, allora si annoiano, andiamo a casa, non vogliamo, capito?
Sì.
Certo, mangiano quello che gli piacciono, ma anche vogliono giocare. Cosa abbiamo ancora?
Okay. Oh, I mentioned the master classes already. I mentioned David Rocco already. So probably the pièce de résistance of Italian Week Ottawa is the grand finale weekend. So that'll be the weekend of basically the 13th to the 16th. I apologize, I'm not doing math well because I just included the Thursday in that weekend. So just to imagine it, you could have your entire plans made for the 13th. You could go to the David Rocco event on the 13th, which is a Thursday. Then the 14th, which is a Friday. There's going to be a Disco Inferno event that's also hosted at Sala San Marco, which is going to be like a dance party themed in the disco. Folks can dress up.
Quello che vogliono sapere la gente. C'è la musica, si può ballare, si può... Questo c'è. Importante. Tutta la settimana la musica e il ballo...
No, I'll get to that part. So the Friday the 14th is the Disco Inferno. And then, of course, that brings us into the Saturday and Sunday, the grand finale weekend. Folks who have probably been in Little Italy recently have probably noticed there is quite a bit of construction in the area. So that being said, the space where we usually had the main stage, we don't have access to it right now because there's construction happening there. So what we're going to be doing this year is animating Preston Street a little bit more and having a lot more interactive things in the areas that we are able to be in. So of course there'll be performances, comedy throughout the street. This is of course family friendly, free and open to everybody. Something I like to say, you know, folks, Ottawa sometimes gets a bad rap for not being a fun city. We're not going to debate that here in this show, but I will say that for the grand finale weekend, it certainly does not feel like that's the case. Preston Street really comes alive for grand finale weekend. All of the businesses, Italian businesses and other businesses alike, they all really get involved. They open up their patios. They're having music everywhere. It's just packed with crowds. People are dancing and partying up until the late hours. And they're, like I said before, there's something for everybody really at this weekend. You can come and bring your family at a more reasonable family time, and then of course people are dancing and stuff into the evening and eating well and having an unforgettable weekend. So
Benissimo.
certainly.
Cara Nina, purtroppo il tempo scappa presto, mi fa
Parlo
tanto
troppo.
piacere, no, assolutamente mi fa tanto piacere averti con me in questo programma. Non so, vuoi salutare il tuo gruppo, la Lidia, Nur, tutti
Sì,
quanti?
sì, sì, sì.
Che certamente loro hanno fatto un grande lavoro, anche gli anni scorsi hanno fatto tanto, anche gli altri gruppi prima di loro. Io ti voglio ringraziare,
Sì.
ringrazio a tutti quanti di essere con noi. Solo voglio ricordare alla gente che l'Età d'Oro di Villa Marconi invita sempre la gente a partecipare al pranzo mensile che si fa a Villa Marconi per mangiare con i nostri cari che vivono in questa villa. Perciò il 25 giugno c'è il pranzo, ma prima del pranzo c'è la messa alle 11, poi alle 12 c'è il pranzo con i nostri cari. Chiamate Teresa al 613 225 1878 o potete chiamare anche Carmela al 613 723 6197. Per piacere chiamate una settimana prima almeno, così loro sanno quante persone vengono a pranzo con i nostri cari. Ringrazio tutti quanti, grazie cara Nina, in bocca al lupo per quest'anno e spero che faremo un grande festival quest'anno.
Grazie. Posso aggiungere una piccola cosa?
Certo.
Perché ho dimenticato. I forgot to mention one small thing, and it was probably like my most excited thing that I was about, and that was the panel that we also have on June the 10th. I could not forget about that because we're actually doing a lot to highlight heritage and bringing that to people as well. So just very quickly wanted to mention that on June the 10th, we'll be having a panel to talk about the Italian-Canadian experience. So Bob Shirelli will be there to talk about the internment camps, broadly speaking. Then we have Pat Nicastro from La Bottega, and also a personal friend of mine, Francesco Campanile, who recently moved to Ottawa 3 years ago, and he'll be talking about what it's like to be a new Italian to Canada. So,
grazie.
Grazie mille.
Grazie mille, grazie cari amici, arrivederci alla prossima puntata. Ciao a tutti. Cari telespettatori, salve a tutti. Insomma, oggi stiamo facendo qualcosa di diverso, insomma, per dire che Tele 30 è stato dappertutto. Noi siamo come il prezzemolo, insomma, ci trovate Tele 30 dappertutto. Oggi veramente siamo venuti qua a fare il volontariati, a pulire un park nella nostra area e sono venuti qua i nostri amici di darci la mano, come vedete, insomma, per tenere la nostra città una città pulita. Dobbiamo veramente tenere questa città in buon modo, una città pulita come la vogliamo noi. Perciò oggi veramente io sono molto contento di fare questo lavoro volontariato con gli amici, con i vicini, per tenere la nostra città così pulita. Insomma, poi abbiamo tante cose da fare, vi ringrazio tanto e spero che tanti di voi fanno questi gruppi e andare a fare qualcosa nella nostra città. Grazie a tutti, continuiamo a fare il nostro programma.